The chamber was impossibly vast, a cathedral of polished obsidian and glimmering alloys, filled with delegates from 100 star systems. Each alien form shimmered in its own spectral language of skin, scales, light, or tentacle. They had gathered in cautious hope, for centuries of fragile alliances hung on the edge of every negotiation. And yet all eyes, tentacles quivering, eyes dilating, sensors flickering, kept returning to the humans. The humans, small, unassuming in appearance compared to the vast, many-limbed creatures of the galaxy, yet radiating a subtle gravity that drew attention even in a room of giants. They moved with an ease that belied the complexity of the deals they brokered, their calm voices carrying across the chamber like a warm, persuasive current. To the eye, they were mediators, peacemakers, the glue holding together fractious civilizations. To the mind, something lingered beneath that surface, something that felt deliberate. One human ambassador, a woman with pale skin and dark eyes that seemed to reflect every star in the room, leaned forward. Her tone was gentle, almost conversational, but each word was a scalpel. "We must consider not only the immediate outcomes of this agreement, but the long-term stability of your systems," she said. Around her, alien delegates murmured, nodding with varying degrees of trust and unease, from the perspective of an alien observer, a being whose eyes could detect electromagnetic shifts and subtle changes in body. Chemistry. The human's presence was a paradox. Benevolence radiated outward in measured waves, yet beneath it, there was a current of calculation, subtle and precise, a hidden architecture of influence threading through every motion, every sentence. The rising tension was invisible yet palpable. Across multiple star systems, wars had ceased in name, treaties signed, borders delineated, but the outcomes always seemed to favor human-aligned territories. An alien general, watching from the upper gallery, could feel it in his bones. Every peace accord, every diplomatic victory carried a hidden weight. The balance had shifted subtly over centuries, always toward humans. But how? And why had no one noticed until now? A minor dispute erupted between two star systems over mineral rights in a distant asteroid belt. On the surface, humans intervened simply to broker compromise. But beneath the surface, they had already calculated the optimal allocation that would maximize long-term benefit to their own trade networks. A holographic display flickered mid-air, showing the asteroid clusters mapped in intricate patterns. No alien delegate realized that the human had been running simulations before the council even convened. Admiration for the human's skill turned into an uneasy suspicion among the alien observers. They had always believed diplomacy was a sacred art, a delicate balance of mutual trust. Yet here were these creatures, weaving influence through every interaction with the precision of apex predators, cloaked in the gentlest tones of negotiation. The realization settled like a cold mist over the chamber. Humans were not merely participants in diplomacy. They were architects of it. One alien delegate, tall and crystalline, tilted its head, sensors vibrating in rapid succession. "Are we being guided?" it whispered to a colleague who shivered. Another delegate, wings folding nervously, noted the subtle disparities in treaty benefits. "Every time humans mediate, the outcome skews toward their advantage. It is systematic." The whispers grew louder, spreading like wildfire through the council halls. The human ambassador, sensing the subtle shift in mood, smiled. Not the overt grin of friendliness, but a knowing, enigmatic smile. She placed her hand on a console and activated a three-dimensional projection of a distant star cluster. It rotated slowly, revealing trade routes, energy flows, and colonies. Every path, every resource, every political upheaval had been anticipated, accounted for, and subtly nudged by human strategy. It was breathtaking and terrifying. And then came the revelation no one expected. One of the alien analysts discovered that even the conflicts humans appeared to prevent were, in truth, orchestrated. Wars had been halted at the perfect moment to ensure human-aligned factions gained technological knowledge or resources before others could. The galaxy had been dancing to a rhythm it didn't know existed, orchestrated by the very species it considered minor players in the grand game of civilizations. Admiration twisted into awe, and awe into fear. The council chamber, once a place of hope, now felt like a theater of shadows, a space where invisible hands moved pieces across the board of the galaxy. Alien delegates exchanged glances, some daring to question their lifelong trust in humanity. If humans could manipulate entire star systems without detection, what was to stop them from reaching further, from rewriting the rules entirely? The tension coiled tighter when a younger human diplomat, a man with eyes sharp as quasar light, stepped forward. He raised a hand almost casually, and the projections shifted again, revealing subtle energy manipulations and trade imbalances designed to appear natural. The aliens gasped, realizing in that instant that every decision, every treaty, every supposed compromise had been sculpted by humans from the shadows. And yet, the human's demeanor remained serene, almost benign, as if this revelation was merely another fact of life. Their calmness was infuriating, disarming, and mesmerizing. The galaxy's delegates began to feel the first stirrings of doubt, a creeping uncertainty that perhaps the humans were not what they seemed. Were they allies, or predators wearing the mask of friendship? The chamber fell into a heavy silence, broken only by the quiet hum of the orbital city beyond the council walls. Eyes turned to the humans, who seemed to sit waiting, patient, unhurried. In the minds of the alien observers, questions spiraled faster than the light of distant stars. What have they planned next? How far does this influence extend? Are we, too, already trapped within the designs of humans? And then the door at the far end of the chamber hissed open. A delegation from an entirely new sector had arrived, unknown and uncharted. The humans stood, eyes narrowing subtly, as if they had anticipated this moment long before anyone in the galaxy had even imagined it. The first spark of a new revelation danced in the air, one that would challenge everything the galaxy believed about diplomacy. Trust and the true nature of the human species. The whispers began anew. If humans control peace, then who controls the future? And in that question hung the shadow of a much larger, far more terrifying truth. The camera pans upward to the dome of the council chamber, stars reflected in human eyes. A single question echoes. Are humans benevolent diplomats? Or predators cloaked in diplomacy? The scene fades to black as alien delegates lean closer, tension coiling like a living thing, ready to follow humanity's next move. The corridors of the hidden archive were silent, almost reverent, lined with panels of iridescent metal and glass that seemed to hum with a life of their own. Alien delegates, still reeling from the revelations in the council chamber, now moved cautiously through this secretive repository. Each step echoed against the high ceilings, bouncing off walls etched with data conduits and alien runes. An alien symphony punctuated by the occasional hiss of machinery. At the center of the chamber floated a vast holographic star map, rotating lazily, projecting not only locations but the subtle flow of energy, trade, and information. Each star system was connected by luminous threads, pulsating in color and intensity according to activity. To the untrained eye, it was merely a map, beautiful and complex. But the alien observers quickly realized it was a living record of manipulation, a web orchestrated entirely by humans. One delegate, a multi-limbed being whose skin reflected ambient light in fractal patterns, leaned closer. They control it all, it whispered, voice vibrating through the chamber like low-frequency tremors. Another, whose eyes could perceive temporal fluctuations, traced the routes of human trade fleets, noting subtle yet consistent deviations that had shifted galactic economies for decades. Every technology transfer, every resource allocation, every evolutionary advantage, they've designed it. The humans had anticipated every question before it could be asked. Shadowy figures moved silently along the edges of the archive, their presence almost imperceptible, like ghosts that slipped through light. Their eyes, reflecting the holographic map, scanned, calculated, and adjusted with a precision that seemed superhuman. Every alien system, every fledgling civilization, every hidden anomaly had been monitored, nudged, and guided, often without the knowledge of the civilizations themselves. Rising tension gripped the observers. One alien historian, a slender figure with translucent wings, gestured at a projection showing a primitive species on a distant planet. "This is evolution," influenced, it said, disbelief trembling in its voice. The display detailed subtle interventions, minor technological nudges, resource distributions timed to accelerate development, conflicts engineered to cull instability. Humanity had been steering the trajectory of life itself across galaxies. An audial pulse echoed from the AI interfaces embedded within the holograms, a low, rhythmic vibration that seemed almost sentient. The humans moved in tandem with the pulse, fingers brushing invisible panels, activating streams of data that revealed deeper layers of manipulation. Alien delegates gasped as hidden protocols surfaced. Records of wars prevented not out of diplomacy, but to ensure the survival of human-aligned colonies, to harvest alien innovations, or to destabilize potential threats before they could mature. And yet, the humans maintained their serene, almost casual demeanor. They were observers, guides, architects, untouched by the fear and awe that coursed through their audience. It was not cruelty. It was calculation. And in that calculation lay a paradox. The same species revered for diplomacy was capable of a quiet, pervasive dominion over the very galaxy that praised them. One young delegate, wings quivering, whispered, "If this is true, then every treaty, every trade agreement, every ceasefire we've witnessed is orchestrated." Its voice trembled with disbelief. Another, whose sensors detected subtle energy manipulations, pointed to a series of trade routes that appeared innocuous but were rigged to funnel resources and influence toward human-aligned systems. "They've written the rules without us knowing." "They've rewritten evolution itself," it said. The air grew dense with ethical tension. Could the galaxy condemn this species when every conflict they had mediated was, on the surface, peaceful? How could one argue against results that had stabilized thousands of worlds, prevented countless wars, and yet been achieved through hidden manipulation? Fear mingled with admiration, respect tangled with revulsion. Humans were apex predators, yes, but they were predators disguised as diplomats. Their teeth sheathed in the soft velvet of strategy. The holographic map shifted suddenly, highlighting the outermost sectors of the galaxy. Humans had prepared contingencies even here, where civilizations had never even heard of their existence. The revelation hit the alien observers like a cosmic shockwave. There was no frontier too distant, no civilization beyond the reach of human influence. Every colony, every star system, every nascent species had been considered, mapped, and accounted for. Then came the most disturbing discovery. One archive module, ancient yet preserved with perfect precision, contained records of interventions in alien genetic evolution. Species had been subtly altered, not to harm but to test resilience, adaptability, and loyalty. Planets where certain traits had emerged earlier than nature intended were highlighted, evidence of experiments stretching back centuries. The aliens understood in that instant that the humans were not merely participating in galactic affairs. They were shaping life itself as if it were clay, bending it to their vision. Whispers escalated into murmurs of terror and awe. One delegate's antennae twitched erratically. Another's crystalline skin shimmered with nervous energy. They realized the truth. The humans' diplomacy was not a mask over ambition. It was the strategy itself, the very instrument of power. And power, as they now feared, was wielded with frightening precision. The tension in the archive reached a breaking point. Delegates began to question not only the humans' ethics, but the very structure of galactic civilization. If this is what diplomacy really means, what hope do we have of governing ourselves? A winged observer muttered. A ripple of agreement passed through the room, though none dared speak too loudly. The humans watched silently, as if to remind all present that their awareness, however shocking, was already anticipated. And then, as if on cue, the lights dimmed, leaving only the pulsating glow of the holographic maps. One human operative moved closer to the projection, pressing a hidden sequence. The entire archive shifted to reveal something previously hidden, a layer of information so profound, so strategically layered, that the aliens could not even begin to comprehend it fully. The archive was no longer just a record. It was a living blueprint of human strategy. And as the alien observers leaned forward, spellbound and fearful, the question burned in every mind. If humans control trade, technology, and evolution itself, what is left that they do not already control? The scene fades to black as the human operative steps back, eyes gleaming, leaving the galaxy on the brink of awe and terror. The council chamber crackled with tension, heavier than any gravity could account for. For centuries, humans had been the quiet architects of galactic stability, their influence subtle, hidden behind the guise of diplomacy. But now, the first coalition of alien civilizations, united by shock, fear, and anger, stood before them, demanding answers. Their ships formed a jagged halo around the human-controlled orbital station, each vessel bristling with weaponry calibrated to interdict faster-than-light movement. From the vantage of an alien observer, the humans appeared unnervingly calm. Their ambassador, a tall figure with shadowed eyes that seemed to see beyond the visible spectrum, adjusted her posture with deliberate serenity. She entered the chamber alone, hands clasped behind her back, a smile that suggested confidence, or perhaps calculated amusement, playing across her features. Every step echoed like a measured drumbeat, setting the rhythm for a negotiation that could ignite war. The alien spokesperson, a being whose body shimmered with pulsating bioluminescent patterns, began the confrontation. "Humans," it intoned, voice amplified and resonant, "you have manipulated trade, technology, and life itself across countless star systems. You have breached the trust of every civilization in this sector. How do you justify these interventions?" Rising tension filled the chamber like a tangible force. Delegates from the coalition leaned forward, wings trembling, antennae quivering, and crystalline limbs vibrating in silent frustration. The air seemed to thicken. Even the hum of the orbital station's energy cores felt muted. The galaxy had witnessed humans as mediators, peacemakers, but now, under scrutiny, the façade faltered. The human ambassador's response was quiet, almost a whisper, but it carried the weight of command. "We act in accordance with survival and foresight. Every decision we make is calculated to prevent chaos, to ensure continuity." Her eyes flicked to each member of the coalition, measuring their reactions, cataloging their fear, their doubt. To an alien, it was as if she were reading their neural frequencies directly. The aliens recoiled slightly at her calmness. It was unsettling. Some had expected desperation, apology, panic. Instead, humans exhibited none. Their composure, however, was not arrogance, it was strategy. Every gesture, every pause, every syllable was engineered to influence, to persuade, to delay judgment. The humans were apex predators negotiating not with teeth or claws, but with minds, ethics, and subtle manipulation. An elder diplomat, covered in reflective crystalline armor, interjected. "Your actions have consequences. Entire ecosystems destabilized, civilizations coerced, species altered. For your gain, you speak of foresight, but at what cost?" The human ambassador leaned forward slightly, her voice soft but deliberate. "What is the cost of inaction? If we did not intervene, countless systems would have collapsed, billions of lives lost. The universe is not fair. We choose to act even if the morality is complex." For a moment, silence fell, suffocating in its intensity. The alien coalition struggled to reconcile admiration with outrage. Humans were intelligent, undeniably brilliant, but their intelligence was wielded as a scalpel, dissecting morality itself. Some delegates felt awe. Others felt revulsion. Every mind in that chamber wrestled with the realization. The human's version of ethics was not shared. It was a framework of survival, flexibility, and dominance, executed with surgical precision. Then, the negotiations teetered on the edge of violence. One faction, massive, jagged, with energy fields crackling visibly around its body, stepped forward, its voice like the grinding of tectonic plates. "If you cannot answer, we will enforce accountability ourselves. Star systems will be liberated by force if necessary." The humans did not flinch. Instead, they projected a holographic display, revealing a network of star systems where intervention had prevented wars. stabilized economies, and even preserved species that would otherwise have gone extinct. Every manipulated system had a tangible positive outcome. The alien coalition gawked, conflicted. The humans' manipulations had indeed saved lives, prevented disasters, but at the price of autonomy and truth. Tension escalated further when a junior alien delegate, wings trembling and antennae quivering, whispered to her neighbor, "If their diplomacy is manipulation, are we already playing their game?" The chamber hummed with nervous energy. Alliances shifted subtly, suspicion crawling like shadow across every mind. The human ambassador seized the moment of uncertainty. Her eyes glinted as she asked softly, almost rhetorically, "If you were in our position, with the knowledge and foresight we possess, what would you do differently?" Her question lingered, a blade of moral ambiguity slicing through the room. The aliens were forced to confront not only human cunning, but their own conscience, their own limitations, and the unbearable weight of galactic consequence. The first cracks in the coalition's unity appeared. Some delegates, recognizing the humans' logic, hesitated, reconsidered their threat. Others burned with righteous anger, demanding immediate action. The tension between self-preservation and moral conscience became a palpable force, stretching across the chamber, almost visible in the energy fields of the alien bodies. Then, as the debate reached its crescendo, an unexpected transmission arrived. A human reconnaissance fleet, previously unreported, appeared at the outer rim of the coalition's territory. Each vessel was perfectly aligned, shimmering with the precision of a predator stalking its prey, yet motionless, as if observing rather than attacking. The coalition froze, realizing that humans had anticipated this confrontation, had prepared contingencies for every outcome. And now, the next move was uncertain. The alien observers, watching through hidden sensors, felt a collective shiver. The humans had not merely survived the confrontation, they had shaped it, guided it, controlled the flow of decisions, and forced the coalition to reconsider not only their strategy, but the very meaning of trust, diplomacy, and morality. As the chamber descended into tense deliberation, the question lingered in every mind. If humans can navigate diplomacy like predators stalking prey, and yet wield morality as a weapon, what will they do next? The camera pans to the human ambassador, calm, eyes reflecting the flickering lights of countless star systems, poised for the next revelation that would test the galaxy's understanding of power itself. The chamber was transformed. Gone were the polished floors and humming consoles of diplomacy. Now the walls themselves became mirrors of a different kind. Not reflective in the sense of light, but of essence, a strange alien technology that projected the very nature of a species back at itself. The humans, previously poised and composed, now found themselves framed by a mirror of truth that the galaxy rarely, if ever, offered. From the alien perspective, it was both breathtaking and terrifying. The reflective surfaces shimmered and rippled, displaying humans in primal, almost forgotten states, running across savannas, hunting, building fires, wielding crude tools, but always observing, calculating, adapting. Each scene shifted seamlessly into another, a city being built, a negotiation taking place, a battlefield orchestrated with quiet precision. The line between predator and diplomat blurred until it vanished entirely. The alien observers leaned closer, wings quivering, antennae vibrating. This is their essence, they realized. Diplomacy was not morality, it was camouflage. Every treaty, every alliance, every gesture of peace had roots in survival, strategy, and instinctual dominance. The humans' evolutionary legacy was not merely one of survival against odds, but one of mastering the environment, bending every circumstance to their favor. The images shifted to subtle violence. A flick of a hand redirecting an opponent in a duel, a whispered command that altered the flow of an interspecies negotiation. A primal conflict between early humans resolved with brutal ingenuity rather than brute strength. It was quiet, almost imperceptible, but the intent was unmistakable. Humans had always been apex predators. Diplomacy was their way of hiding the claws. A young alien delegate, wings folded tightly, whispered, "They are predators, and yet..." so elegant in their restraint. Another, crystalline and multifaceted, emitted a low-frequency vibration, an alien expression of disbelief. They wear morality like a cloak, yet underneath, they are survival incarnate. The mirror displayed the duality, humans comforting children in one frame, orchestrating entire battles in the next. The transition was seamless, a dance of instinct and intellect. The tension in the chamber was palpable. Alien delegates felt a gnawing unease in their cores, the instinctive recognition that humans were not only capable of overt dominance, but had learned to manipulate perception itself. Every handshake, every conciliatory gesture, every smile was layered with intent. The realization struck like a supernova. The humans' moral compass did not negate their predatory nature. It enhanced it, allowing them to navigate civilizations without revealing their teeth. The humans themselves watched unflinching as the mirror revealed them. There was no shame, no guilt, only awareness. To the alien mind, it was almost frightening in its clarity. The humans seemed to observe the mirror as if studying a simple, inevitable truth. They saw themselves not as villains, not even as manipulators, but as a species executing the logic of survival and dominance with uncanny efficiency. The chamber pulsed with philosophical tension. The aliens grappled with the ethical implications. If morality is a mask for survival, and if diplomacy is camouflage for instinct, where does one draw the line between ethics and nature? How much of a civilization's structure is real, and how much is merely a reflection of its most cunning members? Questions hung in the air, unanswered. As the mirror continued to ripple and shift, the holographic projection slowed, entering cinematic slow motion, highlighting subtle acts of calculated violence. The way a human might redirect an aggressive alien without striking, the imperceptible nudges in negotiations that shaped outcomes for decades, the silent manipulation of resources to ensure survival while maintaining the illusion of fairness. Every scene was a lesson in predator elegance, subtle and unnerving. Some delegates tried to turn away, unable to face the truth of the species they had once admired. Others stared, entranced, forced to confront the uncomfortable reflection of nature and nurture intertwined in a single form. All mingled with fear, respect tangled with revulsion. Every alien present understood that humanity's evolutionary success had been built not just on intellect or technology, but on an instinctive understanding of dominance, tempered by subtlety and foresight. The humans, still calm, allowed the mirror to complete its cycle. Then the ambassador spoke softly, almost philosophically, eyes glinting in the mirrored light. "Do you see now? We are not anomalies. We are the inevitable consequence of evolution, tempered by reason. And diplomacy is merely the art of survival made visible." Silence followed, profound and suffocating. The aliens absorbed the weight of the statement, their thoughts racing. If humans were apex predators in disguise, how could any alliance ever be genuine? If the very nature of survival dictated strategy over morality, what hope did the galaxy have of understanding this species or predicting its next move? And then, just as the chamber began to settle into uneasy contemplation, the mirrors shifted one final time. They showed the humans not in the past, but in potential futures, negotiating multi-species wars with precision, subtly guiding civilizations, preserving life while bending outcomes to human advantage. The visions were both awe-inspiring and terrifying, a species not only adapted but mastering the very ethics and structure of the galaxy. The alien observers recoiled, realizing that the humans' camouflage was complete, their mastery of both morality and instinct unmatched. A single haunting question filled every mind. If diplomacy is merely the mask of the predator and humans wear it flawlessly, how long before the galaxy truly understands the cost of trust? The scene fades as the camera focuses on the human ambassador's eyes, reflecting not only the mirrored past, but the endless possibilities of the future. Poised for the revelations yet to come, the galaxy seemed to hold its breath. Across countless star systems, news of human influence, revealed through archives, mirrors, and confrontations, rippled like a gravitational wave. Some civilizations recoiled in disbelief. Others steeled themselves for action. The tipping point had arrived. From the vantage of an alien observer, the scene was staggering. Fleets mobilized in shadowy silence, their hulls vibrating with anticipation, energy fields humming with imminent aggression. Commanders barked orders in a chorus of alien frequencies, each decision weighed against the certainty of human foresight. Across sectors, alliances frayed. Some species prepared for retaliation, marshaling ships, weaponry, and tactical AI, determined to punish the humans for their manipulation. Others collapsed into despair or awe, unable to reconcile admiration with fear. In a massive council chamber orbiting a pulsar, delegates argued heatedly. Crystal-armored beings glimmered with barely contained anger, while winged observers flexed nervously, antennae quivering. "They have orchestrated everything," a delegate hissed. "Every trade, every war, every treaty. They control outcomes we assumed were our own. How can we fight what we cannot predict?" Humans, present but calm, listened without interruption. Their presence alone commanded attention, a silent counterweight to chaos. The ambassador's expression was serene, almost detached, as if watching a storm unfold with deliberate patience. Every word, every movement radiated confidence, hubris measured, calculated, and unnerving. A younger delegate, eyes shimmering with luminescent fear, spoke aloud. "If we strike, they anticipated it. If we hesitate, they grow stronger. What is the correct path?" The question hung, unanswerable. As fleets in multiple quadrants aligned and realigned, each maneuver countered by unseen human calculations. Every action of the coalition seemed to be a prelude to a reaction the humans had already accounted for. The tension between human hubris and alien disillusionment grew unbearable. Some factions could not reconcile the species they had admired with the predators revealed. Entire civilizations debated morality against survival, loyalty against fear. The hubris of humanity was breathtaking in its scale, a species small in appearance, yet capable of bending the galaxy to its design without overt force. In a distant sector, sensors captured a subtle, almost imperceptible pulse emanating from human-controlled colonies. It was not weaponry, it was influence. Trade routes shifted slightly, communication grids realigned, minor colonies subtly reinforced. The humans were demonstrating that they could orchestrate outcomes without firing a shot, their power as intangible as it was absolute. Some alien factions began to fracture. One delegation, led by towering crystalline beings, withdrew from the coalition, swayed by the logic of human influence. "We cannot oppose what we do not understand. Perhaps they are not enemies, but inevitabilities," their spokesperson muttered, leaving the others in stunned silence. Meanwhile, more aggressive factions pressed forward, mobilizing fleets that stretched across parsecs ready to strike. Despite knowing that humans had likely predicted every maneuver, the emotional impact on alien minds was intense. Awe intertwined with fear. Admiration clashed with revulsion. Delegates whispered among themselves, debating the ethics of resistance versus acquiescence. Could a species be both savior and predator? Could civilization survive without submitting to the will of a creature that moved with such deliberate foresight? On a human flagship hovering above a contested star system, the ambassador addressed her team. "Do nothing overt. Let them see themselves in their hesitation. Every doubt, every fear. It is ours to observe." Her calmness was terrifying, almost inhuman, as though the galaxy itself were a chessboard and every piece. Every mind had been accounted for. Suddenly, across the coalition, unexpected acts of defiance emerged. Small fleets moved independently, attempting strikes based on incomplete intelligence. Yet each attempt faltered in subtle ways. Routes blocked, communications delayed, minor errors amplified. The humans had anticipated these moves, not to destroy, but to demonstrate control, to show that their influence extended into the smallest corners of the galaxy. Alien observers recorded everything, minds alight with ethical tension. Was resistance futile? Was submission survival? Every calculation, every instinct seemed to point toward the same terrifying conclusion. Humans were not merely dominant, they were untouchable without risking total collapse. And yet, some refused to surrender their autonomy. War councils convened in secrecy, fleets poised for conflict even as the shadow of human foresight loomed over every decision. Morality clashed with necessity, loyalty with survival instincts. The galaxy was on the brink, not of a single war, but of a philosophical reckoning. Could civilizations coexist with a species that had mastered both diplomacy and predation? As tensions reached a crescendo, the human ambassador's gaze swept the chamber, unflinching. "The question is not whether you can defeat us," she said softly, voice like a calm tide against the storm. "The question is whether you can understand us, and if understanding is impossible, then what becomes of your choices?" The chamber fell silent. Fleets paused. Leaders faltered. Even the most aggressive factions felt the pull of uncertainty, the subtle weight of the humans' control. The tipping point was no longer about battle, it was about consciousness, about realization. The galaxy itself seemed to tremble under the paradox of human power, awe-inspiring, terrifying, and utterly inevitable. From the shadows of their observation decks, alien witnesses knew one truth. The galaxy had reached a pivot, a point from which there was no return. Would they fight back, risking annihilation, or accept humans as they were, apex predators cloaked in diplomacy? The camera pans across fleets suspended in indecision, and the screen fades to black as the weight of that choice hangs like a star on the brink of collapse. The council chamber, usually alive with the hum of negotiation, now lay in a dim, tense silence. Light from distant stars filtered through the wide, reinforced glass, casting elongated shadows across the polished floor. Reflections of alien delegates shimmered in the glass, fractured by layers of strategy and doubt. In the center of the room, humans moved quietly, their presence calm, almost meditative, yet radiating the weight of monumental deliberation. From the alien perspective, it was unnerving. The humans were no longer merely observers or manipulators. They were debating themselves, their own nature, and the consequences of revealing it. Whispers passed among delegates of the coalition. The apex predators of the galaxy were considering voluntarily showing their claws. The thought alone sent ripples of fear through every mind capable of perception. A senior human diplomat, hair streaked with silver, leaned forward over the central console, her fingers brushing the holographic projections of hundreds of star systems. "We could reveal ourselves," she said softly, voice steady yet tinged with vulnerability. "Every manipulation, every calculation, every instinct we have hidden for centuries. The galaxy would see us as we are." Murmurs passed through alien observers. Tentacles twitched, antennae vibrated, crystalline bodies shimmered with the energy of apprehension. The implications were staggering. Such transparency could shatter alliances, provoke retaliatory strikes, and risk annihilation on a scale few civilizations could comprehend. Yet in her voice, there was no fear, only a careful calculation of principle versus survival. Another human, younger, with eyes reflecting the distant nebulae, interjected. "Some of us believe that diplomacy can temper instinct, that showing our nature doesn't have to destroy trust. Perhaps understanding will create something stronger than fear." The aliens watched, captivated by the tension between hope and survival instinct. It was rare for a species to even consider the possibility of voluntarily exposing its vulnerabilities, and rarer still to contemplate that doing so might reshape relationships, alliances, and the very order of the galaxy. Yet here were humans, apex predators weighing honesty against centuries of strategic concealment, knowing full well that one misstep could invite annihilation. The chamber seemed to contract under the weight of thought. Shadows stretched across alien faces, reflecting in their wide, multifaceted eyes. Every observer felt the silent pull of human deliberation, the gravity of the choices being weighed. If humans revealed themselves, the consequences could be catastrophic, but if they did not, the galaxy would remain trapped in a carefully orchestrated illusion of peace and control. A holographic display hovered above the council table, showing potential outcomes in branching timelines. Worlds destabilized, fleets destroyed, species uprooted. Yet alongside these bleak possibilities shimmered images of cooperation, reconciliation, and growth, a universe strengthened by understanding. The humans did not shy away from the darker projections. They studied them, as if cataloging the cost of morality against the inevitability of survival. Some alien delegates whispered among themselves. "Why risk everything?" one asked, wings folding tightly in tension. Another, crystalline and multifaceted, replied, "Because they believe something we do not. That diplomacy, even from predators, can evolve instincts toward harmony." The paradox twisted through every mind. Apex predators guided not by dominance alone, but by the hope that understanding could temper instinct. The humans' debate escalated subtly. Voices measured, precise, yet imbued with an emotional undercurrent. "Transparency is dangerous," said one diplomat. "It could provoke chaos beyond our calculations." Another countered, "And yet hiding forever is a cage for the galaxy and for us. If we wish to survive morally, we must risk exposure." From the alien perspective, this internal human conflict was almost unimaginable. A species so meticulously controlled, so logically precise, now wrestled with conscience. Hope flickered alongside calculation. Morality clashed with survival instinct, and the tension was tangible, visible even in the subtle vibrations of their presence. The chamber's lights dimmed further, shadows stretching and intertwining across the room. Alien observers caught glimpses of reflective glances, subtle gestures, and the quiet tension between humans who were equally capable of violence and compassion. The moment felt suspended in time, a fragile pause in the history of the galaxy. Finally, the senior diplomat stood, hands hovering over the projections. "We decide not only for ourselves, but for all who rely on our guidance. If we reveal ourselves, we accept the consequences, whatever they may be. If we do not, we continue to dictate a peace built on concealment." Her voice was calm, unflinching. Yet the weight of every possible outcome hung like a storm cloud above the chamber. The alien delegates recoiled slightly, their own instincts struggling to grasp the audacity of the decision. The humans were not simply calculating survival, they were measuring ethics, morality, and the potential evolution of the galaxy itself. Their choice, whichever path they took, would redefine the relationship between predator and prey, power and trust. And then, the room fell silent. Outside, fleets hovered in readiness, star systems waited in bated anticipation, and every mind capable of perception felt the quiet, almost spiritual tension of a species standing at the crossroads of truth and survival. The camera pans outward from the humans, their reflections overlapping with those of alien delegates in the dim lights, shadows stretching like long fingers across the chamber. A single, unspoken question dominates every mind. Will humans expose their nature and risk annihilation, or preserve survival by keeping the mask of diplomacy intact? The scene fades slowly as the galaxy braces for the decision that could change everything. The galaxy breathed differently now. Whether in the distant voids of uncharted systems or in the bustling hubs of interstellar civilizations, nothing remained unchanged. News of humanity's revelations, both their manipulations and their willingness to confront the truth of their nature, had spread like ripples across the fabric of existence. The apex predators of the stars had unmasked themselves, and every sentient being felt the tremor. From the vantage of an alien observer, the panorama was simultaneously beautiful and terrifying. Star systems glowed with strategic brilliance, fleets moved with precise elegance, and civilizations recalibrated their understanding of power and trust. Everywhere, reflections of humanity's methods shimmered, not just in technology or influence, but in philosophy itself. The galaxy had glimpsed the predator behind the diplomat's mask, and it could not look away. In orbital councils, delegates debated the meaning of what they had witnessed. Crystal-armored beings shivered with awe, wings quivering in tension, antennae vibrating with both fear and fascination. "They have shown themselves not merely as rulers, but as mirrors," one whispered. "They force us to see our own instincts, our own strategies, in a reflection we cannot ignore." The humans, as ever, remained composed. Their ambassador stood at the center of a panoramic chamber overlooking a projection of the galaxy. Every light, every line, every pulse represented a choice made, a calculation executed, a civilization subtly guided. Yet beneath that orchestration was intent, measured, deliberate, and conscious. Not only of survival, but of legacy. Alien observers noted the paradox in awe. These humans, predators at their core, had chosen to reveal the truth voluntarily, embracing the risk of universal judgment while maintaining the veneer of diplomacy. It was a lesson in control, not of brute force, but of restraint, of ethics layered atop instinct. Civilization, they realized, was built not on chaos, but on power wielded with foresight and subtlety. Yet fear lingered. Some star systems had begun to whisper quietly of rebellion, of fleets secretly mobilizing, of distrust seeping into once loyal alliances. Humans had demonstrated that morality and manipulation could coexist, but they had also shown that ignorance of power, or its concealment, was perilous. Every world, every leader, now understood that a species that controlled both its instinct and perception could rewrite the rules of the galaxy. The reflective technology in the council chambers had long been dismantled, but its impact remained. Aliens recalled the mirrored images. Humans hunting, negotiating, building, and guiding civilizations in perfect harmony with their apex instincts. Even the smallest gestures, the careful modulation of tone, the subtle nudging of alliances, the timing of interventions, were etched into memory, unforgettable in their elegance and terrifying in their effectiveness. Across distant stars, historians began to catalog the era as the human revelation, marking a pivot in interstellar philosophy. The question that haunted every mind was the same: do humans deserve their place among the stars? Admiration for their intellect clashed violently with fear of their dominance. Reverence for their diplomacy collided with revulsion at their predatory efficiency. And yet, every observer could not deny the truth. They had shaped the galaxy not through conquest alone, but through mastery of perception, morality, and survival instinct. A young alien diplomat, wings folding nervously, whispered, "Perhaps this is evolution itself, civilization guided by controlled power, tempered by ethics, and aware of instinct." Older delegates nodded, though uneasily, recognizing that the humans' methods had forced a reckoning not only with their species, but with the very principles of governance, cooperation, and trust. In a final cinematic view, the human ambassador looked outward through the glass of the council chamber. Stars stretched infinitely beyond, systems glowing like jewels scattered across a velvet expanse. Her expression was serene, yet reflective, a faint smile hinting at the quiet weight of responsibility carried by her species. Humanity had revealed itself not in triumph, not in violence, but in the audacious transparency of apex survival harmonized with conscious ethics. The alien narrator noted the lingering tension, awe and fear coexisting in perfect balance. Civilization had been forever altered, not by brute force, but by the revelation that controlled power, tempered by intellect and foresight, was the ultimate instrument of influence. Humanity's legacy was now both feared and admired, a paradox that would echo through the galaxy for generations. As the camera pans across alien fleets and star systems bathed in the subtle light of a post-revelation galaxy, a single question echoes across minds of all species. Do humans deserve their place among the stars, or is their dominion an inevitable, uncomfortable truth the galaxy must accept? The screen fades to black, leaving awe, fear, and uncertainty hanging like stars in the void, a silent testament to the legacy of predators cloaked in diplomacy.